Hello and welcome to my latest podcast. The media's interest in the Madeleine McCann abduction since 2007 continues unabated. It seems that the public thirst on this sad story is not yet quenched. It now appears that the German authorities are at the forefront of this case, and I hope that we shall start to see an end to the terrible Netherland for her parents that was created by Maddie's abduction. I remember when this story broke, and within days I was asked to comment on what had happened and the issues that arose from her disappearance. Above all, I was asked if it was safe to travel to Portugal. What could I say about this terrible event and the obvious grief of her parents when there was so much unknown about what happened on that fateful evening? I decided that I had to simply offer my thoughts to her parents and to talk in generic terms about the type of assistance the family would be receiving. However, within a very short space of time, people were already theorising as to what had happened through Facebook and other forms of media. The commentary was frankly disgusting, offered by people who displayed a complete ignorance and a lack of compassion. I did the only thing I could do at the time, which was to gently and publicly call out those offering such thoughts, asking people to show some humanity. At the time of Maddie's abduction, I was holidaying in France and continued to offer comments where I could. On one of the days we headed to a local beach where initially I heard a piercing cry and a call for help. I discovered a French mother was in a terrible state, recognising her personal horror that she had lost her little girl. Like others around me, I joined in the search for her daughter, and as we did so, the panic that ensued rippled across the beach, with virtually everyone standing up, looking around and calling out her name. After 15 minutes, the little girl was found and reunited with her sobbing mother. It revealed that even in the briefest of moments, when our attention lapses, it can deliver fear and panic and a condemnation of ourselves as parents. I have experienced that same emotion on one of my own holidays to the Forest of Dean. I had simply turned my back just for a few moments, and when I had turned around, our youngest child had disappeared. We searched and called out his name, and as an anxious 30 minutes passed by during our frantic search, we found him playing with children nearby. I never turned my back again. But Maddie's story also reminded me at the time of a family visit to the United States. Our first stop was to New York City, travelling around with our young family, visiting the sights. After a long day of sightseeing in the Big Apple, we decided to spend the late afternoon, early evening by the hotel's rooftop pool, shadowed by the twinkling lights of Midtown Manhattan and enclosed by the city's skyscrapers. At the time, our youngest child was 5 months old, and we sat by the pool watching our other children, enjoying the pool and interacting with American children. My wife and I sat with our young child, who was asleep on his mum's lap. As we sat there taking in the surrounds and planning what we would go to see next, a woman approached us. She was slightly drunk, and she started to warn us about children snatchers who were apparently active in the city. She told us repeatedly that our blonde-haired, blue-eyed little boy would be a target and that we would lose him if we weren't careful and we would never see him again. It was bad enough to hear this once, but she repeated her claims several times, causing our own stress levels to rise. Fortunately, her husband came across to find out what was happening, and I calmly told him that she was upsetting the family, that I would like her to leave us alone. Her husband duly took her away. Can you imagine what that felt like? The concern and terror and being 4,000 miles from home. I can tell you from that point onwards, we not only ensured that our child was strapped to one of us when we went out, and talking to our other children about never being out of sight, but we took the added precaution of blocking our various hotel room doors with a chair and made sure that windows were always closed at night. We travelled from New York to Hawaii, but never dropped our guard after that rooftop encounter. The moral of the story is that we don't know what lurks about in our holiday destinations. But we are human. We make mistakes or small errors. That is the nature of parenthood. So in the media froth that will follow, and I dare say some ignorant passions, I still say to all of those armchair warriors out there, believing that their every word and utterance is important, please keep quiet. If you cannot be generous in spirit or compassionate and above all respectful to the McCann family, or indeed any family affected by crimes on their holidays, then you need to take a long hard look at yourselves. You are not Hercule Poirot. You cannot possibly understand local factors, issues, nor indeed the frailty of the lives of individuals or indeed the families themselves. Maddie's case also reminds me of the many people I've met over many years who've been affected by crime in their holidays, some of whom are still fighting for justice, many years after the loss of a loved one or from suffering with rape, sexual assault, robbery or some other terrible injury. I feel I need to say again that many UK holidaymakers suffer from the consequences of criminal activity when they're on holiday. I've seen those effects, visited upon these dignified families in all its towering grief, whilst they try to grapple with the poor responses from the authorities, both UK and foreign, and in particular the UK government. So I say to you, think on these issues. Think of the victims and survivors of holiday crimes, but in particular think of the McCanns and the terrible strain that they have and will continue to live under. They deserve our support. Until the next time, take care.